Can I have your attention, please? So we're going to start the valedictory function now. And salutations upon this fine, cozy winter evening to the galaxy of intellectuals, dignitaries, delegates, invited guests, professors, students, and all others who have joined us here in this hall and who have also joined us virtually over the Zoom platform. So there's an end to everything, and we believe that there's never an end but another beginning. So this valedictory ceremony is a nostalgic moment of pride and happiness of a successful event. It is indeed rewarding feeling to stand here at the dais on behalf of Department of Anthropology, University of Delhi, to greet and to welcome you all to this valedictory ceremony of the International Conference and Pre-Congress of UIF World Anthropology Congress 2023. That is titled Rescripting the Anthropocene, Health, Happiness and Hope. Namaskar, and once again a very good evening to all. I would now request our eminent dignitaries to kindly come up to the stage and take their seats on this stage. I request Professor M.P. Sachdeva, our head of the department, to be on the stage, please. I also request Professor P.R. Mondal, convener of this conference, to be here. I hope sir would be arriving soon. Sir is here, I'm really sorry, but sir. I request Professor K.N. Saraswati, organizing secretary of this conference, to be on the stage, please. I also request Professor R.P. Mitra to be on the stage with us. Professor Benrithing Murray is also requested to be on the stage, please. I now request Professor P.C. Joshi, our previous head, ex-Vice Chancellor and Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Delhi, to be here on the stage with us. I also request Professor Anand Singh, School of Social Sciences, Howard College Campus, King George V. Avenue, Durban, as the valedictory speaker of this valedictory ceremony. I request Professor K.K. Basa, Chairperson, National Monuments Authority, Ministry of Culture, Government of India, as a guest of honor, to be on the stage, please. I request our chief guest, Professor Balram Pani, Dean of Colleges, University of Delhi, to join us on the stage, please. This valedictory ceremony is indeed a reflection of the academic prevalence that we had in the last 3 days in Delhi University, and we are all a witness of this academic enrichment that we would carry forward to our research works and our future deliberations. Now, all we know that culture grows on the vine of tradition, and to carry further this tradition of honoring our dignitaries on the dais, I would request the faculties of Department of Anthropology, University of Delhi, to kindly felicitate the dignitaries on the stage. I would request Professor Manoj Singh to kindly felicitate our chief guest, Professor Balram Pani, Dean of Colleges, University of Delhi. So we also have a tradition to gift a lot of gifts to our delegates during this conference, and we wish that we carry forward this tradition. Now I request Dr. Avitoli G. Zimo to kindly felicitate Professor K.K. Basa, our guest of honor, and who is the Chairperson, National Monuments Authority, Ministry of Culture, Government of India. Dr. Avitoli. Thank you, ma'am. I now request Dr. Vipin Gupta to kindly felicitate our valedictory speaker, Professor Anand Singh, School of Social Sciences, Howard College Campus, Kings George Avenue, Durban. I now request Dr. Kiran Mala to kindly felicitate our beloved Professor P.C. Joshi, our previous head of the department, ex-Vice Chancellor and Pro-Vice Chancellor of University of Delhi. Ma'am. I now request Dr. Mitashri to kindly felicitate our respected head of the department, Professor M.P. Sachdeva, with the token of love and gratitude. Thank you, ma'am. I now request Dr. M. Kennedy Singh to kindly felicitate our respected convener of the conference, Professor P.R. Mondal. I would once again request Dr. Vipin Gupta to kindly come over to the stage. Dr. Vipin Gupta to kindly come over to the stage to felicitate our organizing secretary, Professor K.N. Saraswati. Now I request Dr. Chakravarti Mahajan to kindly come over to the stage and felicitate Professor R.P. Mitra from Department of Anthropology, University of Delhi. Now I request Dr. Shivani Chandel to kindly come over to the stage and felicitate Professor Benrithan Murray, Department of Anthropology, University of Delhi. Thank you, ma'am. A warm welcome is the first sign of hospitality, and words of welcome fill an occasion with warmth and make one feel that they are meant to be there. Only with the support and guidance of our respected head of the department, the warmth of love and respect could be extended to our guests over these last 3 days. I would now request Professor M.P. Sachdeva to kindly address the gathering with the welcome address. Professor Sachdeva has received his training in anthropology from Punjab University, Chandigarh, and he was awarded the Punjab University Gold Medal, and he had been instrumental in pursuing research in human population genetics, molecular genetics, and forensic anthropology. He has guided numerous PhD scholars and postdoc scholars across last 3 decades of his tenure. Now, I request Sadeva sir to kindly welcome the gathering here. So.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here and in the virtual mode. Thank you for joining us at the valedictory function of the 3-day international conference on Rescripting the Anthropocene, Health, Happiness and Hope. This is the pre-congress of the World Anthropological Congress being organized by the United Indian Anthropology Forum at the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, Bhubaneswar. I, on behalf of the Department of Anthropology, University Delhi, welcome you all. It is my profound privilege and honor to welcome the chief guest, our Honorable Dean of Colleges, Professor Balram Pani, who needs no introduction, as we all know him as an eminent expert in chemistry, environmental and polymer science. He has authored 20 books and more than 100 research articles in the areas of his interest. I also have the honor of welcoming our guest of honor, Professor K.K. Basa, President INCA and former Director, Anthropological Survey of India. He was the Vice Chancellor of Maharaja Shri Ram Bhanjadeo University, Odisha. He is the former Director of Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Manav Sangralaya, Bhopal, Director of the Indian Museum, Kolkata, and at present, he is the Chairman of the National Monument Authority of India. I also extend a warm welcome to our special guest, Professor Anand Singh of the Schools of Social Sciences, University of KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, Durban. He is an internationally acclaimed anthropologist and is known for his seminal contribution in anthropology. It is past 4 p.m. and we are coming close to the culmination of a wonderful experience. The hosting of this 3 days Congress has been a very satisfying experience for all of us. I am proud of my department and my energetic colleagues, dynamic research scholars, as also of the laboratory and office staff. I do hope and believe that you all will agree with me. I once again thank you all for your gracious presence. In the original program, there was some change, and today we have with us Professor P.C. Joshi, and you all know him, an eminent anthropologist. He was my former colleague, head of the department, and Pro-Vice Chancellor of University Delhi, and his book is being released today in this function only. And I also welcome Professor P.R. Mondal, Professor K.N. Saraswati, the convener and the organizing secretaries of this seminar, Professor R.P. Mitra, a renowned social anthropologist, and Dr. Benething Mure, my student and colleague of mine. And thank you once again for joining this function.
Thank you so much, sir. And we move further into our valedictory program. Nothing great can be achieved without a good team and a good leader, and a good leader who has faith in his team. So this conference has been an enriching academic event only because of the support of the convener of this conference. I now request Professor P.R. Mondal to kindly convey his convener's remark to the gathering. So.
Good evening to you all. We are at the end of the 3 days pre-World Congress. The title was, as all of you know, Rescripting Anthropocene, Health, Happiness and Hope. In fact, I welcome all those dignitaries present in the dais, the chairperson, Professor M.P. Sachdeva, who is our head of the department, the chief guest, Professor Balram Pani, distinguished guest Professor P.C. Joshi, Professor K.K. Basa, Professor Anand Singh, Professor Saraswati, Professor B. Muri, and Professor Mitra. As Professor Sachdeva said about Professor Pani, as I know him, let me tell you, in last 3 years, Professor Pani has changed the fabric of this university. He has done tremendous work in regard to the promotion and appointments, and truly speaking, he has changed the entire university, and now a feel-good movement is going on in the university, and that is because of him. Now, if I go to the literal meaning of Anthropocene, simply the meaning is the new era of human beings. This terminology arrived in 1980s, but in 2000, Paul J. Crucian and Eugene F. Stomer introduced this term. As all of you know, that we modern human, as Homo sapiens sapiens, we arrived on this planet nearly 40,000 years back. But in 40,000 years, we are facing lots and lots of problems, and those problems are like environmental problems, climatic change, problems of lifestyle. As a matter of fact, that is directly affecting our health. We, being the students of anthropology, we can do a lot, but rather I will put it in this way, we can suggest, because with due apology, I would say that the moment I came as a student of anthropology, from that day, it's nearly 45 years back, I have been hearing tribal development, and tribal development. Are they really developed? Now we talk about human evolution. We should not restrict the study of evolution on physical metamorphosis only. Now it is the time in the era of Anthropocene that our ancestors survived pretty longer period of time as we are here for last 40,000 years. We have to find out the reason how comes without having any modern amenities, those pre-humans or proto-humans, they survived longer than us. We have to take care of the environmental condition because we ourselves are destroying that. I thank to the government of India, what we are talking today, it has been already discussed in the government. Government is talking about environmental change, climatic change, lifestyle, cleanliness, already started. Well, as a convener, the last 3 days, of course, I have seen vigorous sessions are going on. Lot many people, they presented their papers. And I believe that any kind of academic discussion is always good. It is a brain exercise. And in future also, we will be doing this. As all of you know, or many of you know, that every year we conduct seminars. Even during the Corona period also, we conduct a seminar in online mode. We have done this and will be doing it. And I wish a great success of this pre-World Congress and wish you good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting two important issues here. That one is climate change during this Anthropocene era, and second, that this is the first physical mode of conference after a long period of COVID that we were holding virtual conferences. Thank you, sir. Moving further into the ceremony, an event takes a great deal of planning, vision, and hard work. and that hard work, vision, and planning has been envisaged by none other than our organizing secretary, Professor K.N. Saraswati. Professor Saraswati has been our teacher, our mentor, and she has been loved the most by all our audiences and the members in the department. She is trained biological anthropologist, and she has been working in the area of genetics, human population genetics, moving on to biochemical genetics, and now epidemiology and public health. Professor Saraswati needs no introduction, but there's a ritual of introducing her. So now I request Professor K.N. Saraswati to kindly address the gathering.
Actually, I have attended, good evening everybody. I'm sorry. I have attended roundtable and also now here for so long, formal meeting, it suffocates me. Okay, and then I'm not scheduled to speak now. I was supposed to speak a bit later, so I was not prepared. And usually when I do something, I mean, when I'm on the stage, I just felt I have to do something now, so I'm doing it now. Maybe it doesn't fit here, or even if it doesn't matter. So actually, we were all working together, and here everybody thinks I'm being showcased. Okay, and many people who are also seen on the dais inauguration and also here. But you know, there is one person who is not so visible throughout, though he was at my back. So now I call Professor Manoj Singh. Actually, we also had the poster sessions, and in that we thought of having some prize money for them, and there were 3 judges there. One is, I think, Jivan Kumar sir, you were there? No. Shubho Roy sir, Mure sir, and Avituli madam. These were the judges, and students, I think there were around 40 to 50 posters. And can we distribute now? I think we would like to distribute the prizes now, or if we can postpone it to the end, maybe. That is a better option now. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And I feel so good that I'm given a responsibility of holding a pre-Congress for World Congress. And my head of the department had faith in me. And you know, most important thing, just now I was telling something to Abitoli madam in the morning. Whatever she has been doing here, this screen, the moment I saw this screen, I was so excited. I mean, this is a domain where I cannot think that I can ever do it. And not only that, you know, when she speaks to me, madam, she uses certain technical words which I don't understand even. But still, she did everything. But the credit is coming to me. Okay, so this is not actually Thanksgiving, so I'm not going into detail. There are many people whom I can mention here. I'm so happy that everybody is here, even the valedictory, so many are attending. And I feel so good that Balram Pani sir, just 2 days back we approached him, he's here. Thank you very much sir for being here. And Basa sir's presence also is not very easy. Very busy person, somehow we could catch him. And finally agreed to come at least to valedictory. Thank you so much, sir. So that's for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you for the spontaneous extempore that you just delivered. Although the prize thing was just planned now, and we would postpone it to the later half of this ceremony. The academic enrichment in a conference is reflected in the deliberations that invoke scientific inquisitiveness and dedication. I would now request Professor R.P. Mitra to kindly present the conference report. Professor R.P. Mitra is a trained social anthropologist from University of Delhi, and in him we see reflections of our beloved late Professor Vinay Kumar Srivastav. Now I request Professor R.P. Mitra to kindly summarize the entire conference proceedings.
Thank you, Dr. Suniti. That was so kind of you. I am not even 1/4 of a shadow of the great man. And the dignitaries sitting on the dais, Professor Balram Pani, Professor P.C. Joshi, Professor Basa, Professor Anand Kumar, Professor Sachdeva, our head of the department, Professor Murray, Professor Sachdeva, Professor Saraswati, and Professor Mondol, and all other very senior anthropologists who are there in the audience. You see, when we were thinking about this seminar, one thing was clear in our mind, that when we talk about Anthropocene, it's a very complex term. We say that this is a human epoch. This is an epoch where human has made change in a way which has never been seen before. So we wanted to understand what is the anthropological perspective on this. This is a term which is dressed in a geological costume. We wanted to deconstruct, we wanted to remove this costume to see what is there in this term. If you look at the souvenir book, the abstract book, which we have come out with, you will see a picture. That picture is of a day when it rained very heavily in the department. And the department was nearly flooded. We were all knee deep in water when we had to go out of the department and reach the gate. And one of my students, he caught a very fascinating image of that day. You would see the reflection of the department in the flooded front lawn. And this reflection is what we were trying to do. That is why we titled our seminar as Rescripting the Anthropocene, Health, Happiness, and Hope. Anthropology, if we look at, it brings on the table two distinct contributions. The first, anthropologists are known for bringing out what is called as the emic perspective, what people think about issues. Second, anthropologists are known for what is called a contextual understanding. And when we planned this seminar, we had this two costumes for Anthropocene, the context and the emic. We started on 11th and we had a very large gathering. The seminar is being attended by, sir, more than 200 delegates. We have participants from 7 different nations: US, Canada, Bangladesh, Germany. Many of the participants joined us online as well. There were 18 sessions, and it is not possible for me to go through all these sessions individually because the organizers have told me that I have to summarize the whole thing within 10 minutes. I don't think I can do justice to it. The kind of deliberation and the kind of important things which were discussed in the session. But I would like to bring out few points. The inaugural session, which was attended by our chief guest, Shri Prakash Singh, he brought out a very important point, that when you talk about these concepts, you have to move beyond the Western oriented, Western structured, Western given knowledge and concepts and look into the Indian system of knowledge, because the Indian system of knowledge has talked about water, air, and surrounding in great detail and how we relate to them. Our other speakers also highlighted this. Our other chief guest from ICMR from biotechnology pointed out that there are 4 systems which are simultaneously operating: the technological system, the biological system, the cultural system, and now the digital system. And all these 3 systems are refashioning the concept of Anthropocene. Professor Joshi brought out the empirical aspect of it. He looked at the recent example of Joshimath and how human activities through rampant construction of hydropower electric dams, how road widening has led to this natural, what is a man-made, human-made disaster. We had our head of the department who talked about, Professor MP Sachdeva, who talked about how we can bring in these different perspectives together under a single umbrella. Anthropology, sir, is known for its integrative, its ability to bring together and join together different perspectives under a single thread. And this is what we have done in the seminar. We brought in genomics, we brought in epidemiology, we brought in human genetics, we brought in demography, we brought in mental health, public health, we brought in forensic, tribal issues, religion, agrarian issue. The list will go on, sir. And I would not be able to speak about each and every paper, but I would like to draw out 4 things which has emerged from this conference. First, all these papers have clearly indicated that when we talk about these changes are not the changes which are happening earlier. We see, we have been seeing changes, and change has been part of human existence, as Professor Mondal brought out, ever since we made our presence felt in this earth. These changes are global. These changes are connected. Our paper brought out these connections and how they are causally interrelated very clearly. Secondly, our discussions also brought out that these changes are not just restricted to climate change. The papers, if you go through, will clearly tell you that these are multifaceted changes. If there are species extinction at some places, there is species homogenization at other places. If there are geochemical changes, there are problems of waste. If there are changes in the cyclic nature of Earth's processes, at some places, there are changes in the forest cover at other places. All these are part of this term Anthropocene. In this seminar, what we have done is, as Professor Mali once said, it has to be understood from many scenes, not just Anthropocene. There's a capital scene where we had seen paper talking about how the capitalist greed has robbed many of the places of their natural wealth. Then we have plantation scene, how slavery and plantation, they have caused, colonialism has caused changes in many places in the earth. Then there is Robocene, how the policy of development has caused destruction at many places. We have also known about Anthropocene, how there has been marginalization of the indigenous knowledge and indigenous way of understanding the problems. The quest for technological solutions, they have led to problems at many places. We really have to look back. We really have to look at an alterity. Technology is not solution at present to many of the problems. Technology is also leading to the problem, as many of our papers have highlighted. We have to go back to, as some of the papers highlighted, the nature-based solution to the problem. And finally, the seminar talked about the 3 important concepts which understand and affect the human existence. They relate to the concept of health, and they relate to the concept of what is central to human existence, our happiness. And thirdly, it talked about what is the way out. You see, when we talk about this health, this conference clearly brought out, as one of the papers talked about, as Professor Joshi also talked about in the round table, which we held just before this, that when we talk about health, we cannot just talk about health as an individual concept. Health is not state of social, biological, psychological, spiritual, mental well-being. Health is also the health of the planet. Health is also the biodiversity. Health is a situational and contextual context. Health is a community health. In the wellness of all these lies the individual human wellness. We also brought out in this seminar that health is not just restricted to the body. Health is external. Health is all about adaptation, and we have to look at this process of adaptation and how global and local they are interacting and playing an important role in the Anthropocene. The highlight of this seminar, perhaps, if all of you will agree, was the cultural program, which was held on the first day. And Professor Balram Pani, we had a small discussion in our head's room, and we thought of that perhaps we will present this program to the university, because it brought out 2 very important phenomena. The first thing which it brought out was that what India is. We did not bring out diversity. It did not talk about cultural diversity. What it talked about is cultural pluralism. Diversity to pluralism, the journey which India has made, was marvelously showcased in this cultural extravaganza. Second thing, this program brought out what are the major milestones and how these milestones are seen by our youth. In this way, what we have tried to do was, we have tried to connect the youth of our university to the journey of India. To finally sum up, this seminar has showed, it's clearly it's clearly brought out, there are three ways through which we have to move further. The first is, you look at Anthropocene in terms of the doomsday prediction, that it is going to end, it is going to be devastating. Second is that Anthropocene is bringing out changes, and these changes can be managed if we are wise, if we are more thoughtful about the sustainable processes. The third important step which this seminar has brought out is, along with the challenges, Anthropocene has brought out many opportunities as well. The great acceleration which started Anthropocene led to also improvement of human life expectancy. It also led to eradication of many diseases. We are reaching a tipping point. From this tipping point, where do we go? Do we go down or we go up and go for further well-being of human species is going to decide how we act and how we act wisely in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for summarizing the entire 3 days of brainstorming ideas and deliberations so easily and so precisely. Thank you so much, sir. Moving further into the program, a pessimist complains about the wind, an optimist tries to change it, and a wise man adjusts the sails. The sails for this particular event were adjusted by a person who is not only a great motivation to all of us, but also a visionary who gave us the belief to bring together this event. We would now welcome the man who needs no introduction. He has been the former Vice Chancellor and Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Delhi. And prior to joining as Pro-Vice Chancellor of University, he was the head of the Department of Anthropology, University of Delhi. During his professorship, he completed his projects on medical anthropology, traditional medicine, shamanism, and disaster management. He has been an expertise of medical anthropology. And we would now welcome Professor P.C. Joshi. On this event, we also have a book launch that has been edited by Professor P.C. Joshi and Professor Prasanna Kumar Nayak, biographical account of Indian anthropologists. We would now head for the book release by our eminent delegates. I would now request Professor P.C. Joshi to kindly say a few words about the book and motivate all of us once again in this conference.
Well, I think it will be very inconvenient to go from there. So now I think this book is actually, as you all know, that we have completed now 100 years of teaching in India. And on that occasion, myself and one of my very dear friend in Orissa, Professor Prasanna K. Naik, we decided that we should have a biographical account. And well, this particular book is dedicated to Professor Vinay Kumar Srivastava, because Vinay Kumar Srivastava was the prime mover. Not only that, when he learned that we are doing this project, he immediately asked me, let's do another one. And the other one is in the pipeline. This is the first part of that journey that we have made on the biographical account. The second book that will be coming shortly would be on the autobiography, and that I would be co-editing with Professor Vinay Kumar Srivastava. In this book itself, Vinay Kumar Srivastava has been the one who was almost like a savior. Whenever I needed that, I want on him, he said, don't worry, I'll do it. So he has 3, articles in this. Apart from him, of course, we have got, I would like to remember Abhi Ghosh, who has again contributed more than 1 biographies, and Abhijit Guha. They have done multiple, of course I have also done for my department people. But this is a kind of this is an account, biographical account, mostly by the students or the colleagues of the people. And it has, from my department, it has got one on Vinay Kumar Srivastava. In fact, his biography is written by none other than Mitra Shah, in whom you said you see reflection. So he is the one who has done, I have done for my teachers, and my student has done for me also. We have Prashant Khatri sitting here. Ruxana Jaman has done for Subhadra Channa madam. So this is how, I think there is a collection of nearly 42 biographies that are there in this book. I hope this book will be having a historical importance, and I know that there are some weaknesses in this work. The weaknesses are because we were not able to find people who could write for them. But I'm very glad to share with you that from Calcutta as well as from Dibrugarh, some more biographies have also come. So I think India is now very rich as far as biographies of anthropologists is concerned. And I think I have also contributed a bit of it from my side. Of course, not alone, but with Professor Prasanna Kumar Naik, and as I said, Vinayji and all those people have also helped. So I'm very glad that, of course, Professor Basa is one of the authors here. So that's a privilege. But Professor Pani, he has been my ex-colleague, and he was also witness to earlier my book release. That was with which I had with Chakravarti Mahajan. So I'm really honored to have you again, sir. And with these words, thank you very much for giving me the platform.
Thank you so much, sir. And for your energy and momentum, we get the momentum to work and to work. Thank you so much, sir. I would now invite our revered valedictory speaker, Professor Anand Singh from School of Social Sciences, Howard College campus, Durban, for the valedictory lecture. Professor Anand Singh is from discipline of anthropology, and his research interests include migration, Indian diaspora, anthropology of development, sustainable development. He was also a part of research project India and its diaspora through the PBD, Identity Bonding or Call for Money. Sir has received many awards and honors, including University of Cape Town Scholarship, Nelson Mandela Scholarship, Research Grants on India, Research Grant on India-Africa Relations in 21st Century. Thank you so much, sir, for being here with us, and I would now request you to kindly deliver the valedictory lecture. Sir.
To the organizers and all of you present here, good afternoon. I am very sensitive to the fact that by this stage of any conference, most people are tired. And the quicker the session ends, the better people will begin to reflect and remember the last 3 days of the activities that have taken place. I am a third generation South African with my paternal roots in Uttar Pradesh, Muzaffarnagar, and my maternal roots, I am not sure, but I suspect that they're actually Bengali, considering the surname that they had. Professor Deepak Behera asked me to talk on South African anthropology, but having attended the last 2 or 3 hours here now, the level of conversation that I have picked up is a very unique one for me, as well as something new and very instigating in terms of my own thinking and what I go back home with and what I would probably have to share with my colleagues as well. But in terms of South African anthropology, a few highlighters would give you some insight into what we as anthropologists do in this country and how it actually differs from what you in India are doing and how many other parts of the world also differ from our approach. Now, South Africa, as you know, has been dominated by both colonialism since its inception, as well as apartheid from around 1949 to about 1994. The discipline of anthropology has been fraught with characteristics that surround racialization of the subject as well as an ethnic tune to whatever we do and whatever we have been doing. I don't believe for one moment that there is in any way a change of heart by most people yet, because many still hang on to what used to prevail and what is likely to continue for another few years before the level of conversation that I'm actually witnessing here would prevail in my country. Now, you know, in South Africa, there are 4 major groups: whites, Indians, coloreds, and Africans. In terms of those groups, there is a further breakdown of which universities one could actually go. All of the universities were either English-speaking, Afrikaans-speaking, or they were ethnically based for the respective African ethnic groups that they were created for. So I am a product as well of an Indian university in South Africa. It was built in 1971, but preceded by a building that was a dilapidated one in an area called Salisbury Island, where predecessors to myself have been going. And then it shifted to a very centralized campus on a hilltop that was surrounded by 3 gates. And it was very strategically located as well as placed because it drew mainly from the middle and upper class areas where Indians were situated. But very importantly, for the apartheid state, they had to contain what they used to refer to as the Indian communist. As long as you opposed apartheid, you were considered to be communist. And in that way, they actually tried to control opposition to apartheid for the years of their existence. Anthropology as well also took on a particular characteristic in South Africa. In the English-speaking universities, which are 4 of them, the University of Witwatersrand, University of Cape Town, Rhodes University, and the University of Natal. These were ex-British institutions and followed the model of social anthropology in South Africa. The Afrikaans-speaking universities, which were more numerous and better funded because they were actually supported by the state during the emergence of apartheid, they were better funded because they needed to actually catch up with the English in South Africa and also transcend whatever their achievements were, because Afrikaners were actually economically more disadvantaged during colonialism, and the creation of the apartheid ideology was really, in a sense, an attempt to ride over the English, to control the English speakers in South Africa. Africans, Indians, and Coloureds were secondary and almost irrelevant to what Afrikaners actually thought. They followed a particular model of anthropology, which was called Volkenkunde, the study of folk. But more importantly, they actually derived a lot of inspiration from the German Volkenkunde studies, as well as the Russian anthropologist Shirokogorov, who spoke about the purity of ethnic groups and the need for separation so that we avoid the pollution of different groups in a way that would lead to integration through marriage, through partnerships across color, ethnic or religious lines. It was a very rigid approach to anthropology. And what actually transpired from the Afrikaans universities was the production of Volkenkundiges who, very importantly, were trained to uphold and consolidate the apartheid system. And you can guess perhaps who were the biggest employers of anthropologists in South Africa during apartheid. It was actually the South African Defense Force. Most of the Volkenkundiges who were trained in Afrikaans universities were turned into chaplains in the army. And they were trained to ensure that they justified, they made anthropology and kind of intellectual justification for the separation of the racial and ethnic groups in the country. So much so that if you needed to study in another university a course that was not offered in your ethnic or racial university, you had to get ministerial permission. And they did their level best to try to frustrate you out of making that application, because they realized that there was going to be a lot of follow-ups. So in the early years of my enrollment in the University of Cape Town in 1981, when I went to do my master's in anthropology, I was invited with tremendous zeal. I was actually a very protected species in the University of Cape Town. And I was looked after in many ways. But somehow or the other, for the little Indian that I was, I also had a big mouth. I annoyed and irritated a lot of people because of my views. The result was quite costly to me. But having done that, every time I applied for any research grant, the same people would be sitting in those committees, judging our applications for funding, and they would find any number of excuses to turn those applications for funding down. If you write an article, they would find any number of excuses to tell you what you don't have in the article rather than seeing the value of what you have in it. I had at least 3 instances in my career so far where I submitted articles to the white controlled journals, which were essentially academic, social academic clubs that were heavily controlled and somewhat guarded by English-speaking whites or Afrikaans-speaking whites. Each time I gave them an article, they turned it down. In the first instance, it was a University of Cape Town academic who was part of the International Union of Anthropological and Ethnological Sciences, who was sitting on this committee. I presented the paper at the University of Witwatersrand. There was another person, at least 6 of us actually presented papers on that day in 1993. He singled me out and he said, "You know, Anand, your paper was actually the best." Of course, it's a tremendous compliment to be paid, but I also realized after the conversations that I've been picking up, there was an American scholar by the name of Nancy Sheeper Hughes, who annoyed the guts out of all of them because she actually started giving very crude descriptions about how white anthropologists were so representative of the political mood of the country at the time, no matter how liberal or radical they sounded. It actually gave many of us up in some ways. Because liberalism, white liberalism, and I made the statement to tremendous cost to myself, is confused conservatism. So whether liberalism in South Africa or whether you find it here in India, it's confused conservatism. Because they actually, the liberals and the radicals, when you find who exactly funds them and how they associate with the people that go against the sentiments of what is right, morally right, and ethically appropriate, you'd be really wanting to actually disassociate yourself from them. But each time they turn down my article, and I am not the only one, I'm only using myself as an example. Each time they turn down the article, and all of you know, every time you submit an article, and I'm sure every one of you sitting here would have actually submitted an article at some point and had it rejected. We all know what that feeling is about. It is horrible. It dehumanizes you because you worked so hard. You took so long to actually conceptualize that research, to put it together, to go out into the field and do the interviews and the participant observation and whatever else. And then you write it. You present it in the seminar in your department. You wait another 3 to 4 months, if not 6 months, for the editors of the book or the journal to get back to you, only to have it turned down. And we all know how frustrating it is. But in my case, happily for myself, each time they turned it down, I sent it to other journals in Europe and America. And without fail, they accepted my papers. And I very happily, once it was published, made photocopies and posted it to the editors, telling them thank you. Because they were far better journals that were more internationally circulated. And I still got some of these replies from them on how they were trying to justify why they refused my article. And how I had told them, I've seen, for instance, it's all located in these journals, what you actually have to experience, or how your articles and those journals are circulated, and by what numbers. Anthropology, essentially, was a reflection in the English-speaking universities about English colonialism. But it also, during Afrikanerdom, in the Indian university in which I was, we only had to learn about Indian anthropology. Sanskritization was a very important part of our syllabus, but not because it actually reflected people's movement and choices, but because it was actually meant to teach us how caste-conscious Indians are, and how we needed to actually get away from it through white man's guidance. But many of us were well read, and we challenged those issues. But they won't allow us to actually have open public debates for the simple reason that it exposes their ideologies and their own lack of knowledge. So the point is that in time, we actually built up a really good coterie of scholars who were able to challenge the prevailing ideology of the time. And we have managed in many ways to actually overcome that. However, having done that, they made sure, whether it was in sociology, in all the cognate disciplines, anthropology, sociology, economics, political science, we had tough times trying to publish in those journals and their books. We had to find outside outlets. But eventually we did that. There's always been this kind of hegemonic tendency among them. And if you don't mind my saying it, this very conference is actually a result of the hegemonic thinking. This is the United Indian Anthropology Forum. And when Europeans and North Americans, and I don't mean to be xenophobic, what is important here is that if they feel things fail in Europe or America, it can't succeed anywhere else And that is the kind of mindset that Asians, for whom this century actually belongs, have to transcend. And it's extremely important that if Indian anthropology has to develop with any measure of success, then you have to take up the issues, for instance, that Professor Deepak Behera and Vijay Sahai had mentioned. Coexistentialism, Sanskritization, and getting away from this English mindset also requires Indian anthropologists to start developing a vocabulary that is reflective of your civilizational achievements. Not yours. I belong to this culture as well. So perhaps some onus belongs to me as well. The important thing is developing a vocabulary. The problem, though, is that outside of Europe and America, people tend to think that the only way you can get sanction and approval of your work is if you refer to people from Europe and North America. Again, I'm not being xenophobic and I'm not being apologetic, but people need to have a lot more confidence in what they do. And how you build up this vocabulary, this conceptual framework, and the ideas that emanate from the civilizational achievements that this part of the world has actually brought about. It will be tremendous in terms of where you are actually heading in terms of the discussions that you are actually engaging in today. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. The fragrance of flowers spread only in the direction of the wind, but the goodness of a person spreads in all directions. Our honorable guest of honor is that personality whose academic intellect has reached all of us from different directions. I would now request Professor K.K. Basa, our guest of honor, to kindly deliver his address. Professor Kishore Kumar Basa secured his PhD from the University of London and he has been teaching archaeological anthropology and museum studies since 1980. He was the former head of the department at Uttal University, Department of Anthropology. He was also the former director of Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Manav Sangrahalaya in Bhopal, the director of Indian Museum, Kolkata, and the director of Anthropological Survey, additional charge. Professor Basa was also the Vice Chancellor of Maharaja Sri Ramchandra Bhanjadeva University and also the Chairman of Indian National Confederation and Academy of Anthropologists, INCA, which is the largest anthropological association in India. We are delighted to invite Sir for his lecture to the gathering. Sir, thank you.
Namaskar. I know all of you are tired, so I would not impose on you a very long speech. You have to tolerate me for at best 10 minutes. Respected Professor Joshi, Professor Pani, Professor Sachdeva, Professor Mitra, Professor Saraswati, Professor Anand Singh, Professor More, other dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. I think I deem it a great privilege to be invited to this august occasion. What a phenomenal success. You have 200 delegates from 7 countries, and I think 16th or 18th sessions. I think one cannot think of a better conference than this. I convey my deep sense of gratitude and hearty congratulations to the organizers. Someone was saying that, I'm a very busy person and, whether I would come or not. Believe me, the post is there for 1 or 2 years, but our association is for lifelong association. And for a lifelong, how can I sacrifice a lifelong association for a temporary phenomenon of the chairmanship? Professor Anand Singh has provoked me. He started it in an autobiographical note, so I will also forget my talk in a formal way that I thought of, but then let me also respond. I'm becoming little autobiographical because I'm speaking in this university because I did my MA not in anthropology but in history from Delhi University way back in 1979. And believe me, when I joined after 7 months in Utkal University as a lecturer in archaeological anthropology, I've written that in my autobiographical account. Professor Joshi, he has read it. You know, that was 30th January, and I had reached the Department of Anthropology today. She said, believe me, this is the language, you know, she is no more, she is blessing me from heaven. She said, I don't like a student of history coming and joining my department, but if you have done so, you have to do an MA in anthropology. Cut short. And I was thinking, God, am I here to survive? You know, is this the way you are welcomed? Because I was just 23 at that time. But believe me, I am grateful to Professor Usha Deka that she insisted that I should do another MA in anthropology as a private candidate from Utkal University, which I did. And whatever I have become in my life, it is because of anthropology as a discipline and to my department, that is Utkal University, Bhubaneswar. Like a convert Christian becoming more fanatic. You know, I always advocate for anthropology much more because I am an outsider and who has become an insider. So therefore, I see the outside point of view as well as insider point of view. Outsider point of view, Professor Mitra was saying that I will not say today because that's not fair. The point is, when we are thinking of our discipline, my own career shows the strength of our discipline. How diverse, how challenging, how enriching. When I look back my life, I may not be a very scintillating intellect, but the organizations that I have served, I have learned from each of the organizations. And that's a great process of learning, which I have started learning from 23rd of November after I joined this position. Now, you have chosen, I'm very fascinated because of the title of your seminar. I mean, this is fantastic. This is one of the best themes I could ever think of, being organized by any department in anthropology anywhere in the world. You know, this is so, you see the kind of poetic flow. You see the poetic flow of that of the title, Rescripting the Anthropocene. Now, because I teach archaeological anthropology, so obviously Anthropocene is treated as an epoch. But then there is a debate between the, let's say, the environmentalists on the one hand and the International Union of Geologists who determine the stratigraphy and all those things. So the environmentalists coined this term, but then the geologists think that unless it gets into the kind of sedimentological sequence, you know, at a form of stratigraphy, it cannot be regarded as an epoch in geological sense. But then some scientists have come up with the idea that because of her plastic, you know, this plastic pollution, I think, has an impact on it, and gradually there is an even sort of inclination among geologists that yes, we can treat it as a kind of as an epoch in geological sense, although there is yet to be a consensus. But then the term has become so popular, not merely sort of in the circle of, let's say, anthropology, but also in literature, in any other field also. Now, when you were talking of Anthropocene, somebody said, I think Professor Mitra was suggesting that, you know, there are multiple scenes. It should not be an Anthropocene. Now, when did it originate? I mean, some people, there are three schools of thought. One school of thought thinks that right from the domestication of plants and animals, you know, Anthropocene has emerged. Some other people think that no, it is not that old. It should be from the industrial evolution of from Europe, which emphasized on fossil fuel. But the third group thinks that no, it should be from 1950s or 60s, like that. So anyway, but the fact remains that we cannot escape this term anymore. But when we think that we cannot escape the term anymore, the point is how do we deal with them? When you talk of Anthropocene, that means the human impact on your climate, biodiversity, whatever terms you might use. But are we to remain confined to the human perspective of our Earth? Now, how many of us are now seeing the crows? Crows have become almost, I don't know, I wouldn't say extinct, but their number is very less. You know, there are so many folk stories during our childhood. We have heard about the crows, but where are they? So when you are talking of having a perspective of our Earth, it should not be only anthropocentric. It should be in the eyes of birds. It should be in the eyes of stones. It should be in the eyes of streams. Then only you get a very holistic view of the Earth that we are living in. And overemphasis on the human perspective of nature or the world perhaps is leading to a very myopic vision in terms of our perspective. Now, you are talking of, see, the health, happiness, and hope. These are, if you talk in terms of Western society, they will sectorize it. Health, how will you take care of your health? What is your insurance? Happiness, then a lot of work by economics are being done. Our student, Professor Tapas Misra, who is based in University of Southampton, he is working on the concept of happiness along with the income. And he is trying to, on the basis of the European data, he doesn't have much of Indian data. So the economists are working on it, on the question of happiness. Now, hope, as far as hope is concerned, I'll come back to it in a minute. But to me, as far as health issues are concerned, I mean, one important aspect, especially in India, what we see these days, is the corporatization of health. The corporatization of health is a very important aspect. Diseases which are the product of lifestyle. I mean, more and more diseases now we are facing. I myself also is suffering from my knee, because I don't do much of the exercises. I'm a very lazy person. So it's because of the lifestyle. I don't do much of the exercise. I'm happy in reading books. So what extent your health is affected by your lifestyle? And then the other aspect is what the question of genetics. What is you see, when we did not have the genome sequence and other things, the high-tech genetics apparatus, the insurance was much easier. But then now that, if you go for genetics and your disease profile, genetic profile is known, so as far as the insurance man is concerned, if you have a kind of disease which is coming from genetically this thing, how much you have to pay for your insurance? These are also issues. I mean, one cannot ignore. The other thing is the question of
Hope is concerned. I think anthropology discipline is a personification of hope, because
we have the longest time at our disposal. 100,000 years of human existence, the process of Homo sapienization, the sapienization process. And therefore, we have, you see, any climatic changes, when there is an epoch, change in epoch, from Pleistocene to Holocene or before. The other aspect what I'm going to say is that today I just read, the latest Time magazine, in Argentina, no, I think in Brazil, I think, there is a problem of the rainforest, and then a lot of problem is coming as far as deforestation is concerned. But what is important is there one group is coming up, and what they are emphasizing on agroforestry, trees along with your crops. The arrival of Europeans had a problem because from diversity of crop, monocrop in terms of profit was introduced. Now they are saying that the indigenous knowledge system is important. We have to come back as far as diversities of crops are concerned. Therefore, they are saying that it is agroforestry which is important. Now agroforestry is picking up in a big way, right from Latin America to Africa to other parts of the globe, to Southeast Asia. Now, the later part, let me just say about, this is Brazil I'm talking of. This is Brazil. Then other thing I'm talking of, which I missed, I didn't say the future of anthropology that you are talking of in 1947, or whatever term you were using. Now, you see, here I'm reminded of Tarak Chandra Das. Now, all of us celebrate Professor Amartya Sen because of his great work on the question of famine and Bengal famine. And Bengal famine, all of you know the theory, lack of entitlement was the main issue of Bengal famine. But do you know that it was Professor Tarak Chandra Das who had done an excellent study of Bengal famine, anthropological famine. Now, if we will not celebrate Tarak Chandra Das, now who else will do? Not only that, thanks to Professor Abhijit Guha, I got a small paper of Professor Tarak Chandra Das on museums. Believe me, his ideas of museum in 1940s, where he's trying to take museum to the communities, which is becoming a hallmark of new museum movement in 1970s. The new museum movement, when it came in Europe as a linking museum with communities, that is a theoretical domain in Europe in 1970s. Tarak Chandra Das is visualizing that in 1940. Now we have to excavate and try to, what I call, we should try to get rid of our collective amnesia as far as our predecessors are concerned. This is another aspect. Now, I think there is a crisis in anthropology. Let us accept the basic fact. We are in the midst of a crisis in anthropology, not only in India, but also in the entire world. Because my friend Binoy Srivastava has already stated that, while anthropological methods are being celebrated in other disciplines, so anthropological methods are no longer the monopoly of anthropologists. Therefore, there is an appropriation of anthropology by other disciplines, which is a cause for celebration, no doubt about it. But in the process, what is happening is we anthropologists are perhaps losing there is a loss of nerve on our part. We should be appreciating it, and on the contrary, we should assert our own positions also there. The other thing, other issue is, which is also good, but then also that needs kind of change of perspectives on our part. The development of autoethnography has is happening in a big way in India. It has started in Northeast and it is taking place in other parts of the country. Now, our strength was that we were the representative of voiceless people, and we are responsible for giving voice to the voiceless people. Now, when the voiceless people have learned to speak for themselves, we find that we don't become relevant there. So we have to reinvent our role. We have to reinvent our role, that we should also feel proud that autoethnography is coming, and autoethnography will have its voice in a much bigger way in times to come. The other issue is the question of, after post-pandemic, the new normal situation. So in a new normal situation, what will be the strategy that you will be following your field work? The concept of field work is radically undergoing change in anthropology. Gone are those days where we will be happy to put ourselves in a remote part of this country, and we will think that that community is isolated, the community is self-contained. You know, that romanticization of a community, I think, is no longer relevant. I think it is equally important what are the crises, let's say, this software industry has brought to the youth of this country. I think that is also a very important aspect of, as far as fieldwork is concerned, in anthropology. So anthropology has to reinvent itself, taking into account what my predecessors have said, the technological changes that are taking place. And technology, to me, is enabling, but technology doesn't determine your quality of life. Technology enables you, technology might constrain you, technology might facilitate you, but technology does not determine the quality of human behavior. Let us face that fact, and we should take into account that aspect. Now, I'm just reminded of Professor Ian Hodder. Ian Hodder was, how the anthropologists are being engaged in different ways. Ian Hodder was excavating a site in West Asia, a Neolithic site, I think Satalhuk or something like that. Now, he, in his team, in multidisciplinary team, there was a social anthropologist, if I'm not incorrect, who was doing her field work among these archaeologists and trying to take note of how the process of the production of archaeological knowledge is taking place in the process of excavation. Now, that is also anthropology. So the point is, we have to reinvent ourselves. We have to discover or explore new areas, and therefore anthropology will become more challenging. Now, lastly, I would say that to me, I am a born optimist. Born optimist. I think the challenge lies with our young colleagues to reinvent themselves in the changing arena of anthropology. And as far as fieldwork is concerned, I forgot to tell you one thing. We Indians are very happy that, whether it is Kashmir to Kanyakumari, we will be doing fieldwork. But the way, as Professor Anand has said, 21st century belongs to Asia. If 21st century belongs to Asia, we cannot remain ourselves confined to India. We have to do fieldwork in other parts of the country. Why not we do fieldwork in Europe or America? Why? I mean, it is just that they are coming here. Why shouldn't we go there? We should have that kind of confidence. Now, lastly, I would say that since our discipline deals with the human beings and deals with culture, the important thing is this subject, there cannot be demise of this discipline. As long as this humanity will survive, this discipline will survive. Because there is no escape. Because you need understanding of the human beings, you need understanding of the human society, you have to interpret it, you have to explain it, and you have to have empirical observation of it. With this, I convey my deep sense of gratitude to ladies and gentlemen for a patient hearing, because these days, you will find many speakers, but you will find hardly any listener. Therefore, I am so grateful that you have tolerated a 65-year-old man for his unending flow of dignified nonsense. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words of wisdom. And sir, let me tell you, the title of the conference was initially something else. And one fine day in the end of July, Sadeva sir suddenly wrote a message to all of us that this the original title that was there, it seems little depressing. So he came up with this wonderful title that we have now today. Thank you, sir. During this conference, we did felicitate our eminent anthropologists from the country in the department yesterday. And now, continuing this ceremony, we now would like to felicitate Professor Kumkum Srivastav and Professor K.K. Basa, who could not make it yesterday to the event. And I would now request Dr. Avitoli to kindly present a shawl to Professor Kumkum Srivastav. Sure, sir.
I'm so happy that Dr. Kumkum Srivastav is around. Believe me, when I was in my ICU in 2020, in September, I was in ICU, intensive care unit, for 15 days from suffering from COVID, and I was literally dying. I was literally dying. My friend Binoy he used to take note of my progress in health, but I survived. Unfortunately, he didn't. I'm so sad. I am sure if he would have been here, that would have been another attraction for me, because he's such a good friend, personal level. I'm so glad that I met you, madam. Thank you.
We indeed know that COVID was definitely a tough time for all of us, and meeting after 2 years during this conference definitely would bring hope for future, and we all would like to be a part of such events again and again. Thank you, ma'am, for being here with us and being in the department a lot many times whenever we had called you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all the distinguished guests at the dais. I believe in the last 2 years, I have been known, and I mean, for all these years also, I was known as Dr. Mrs. Srivastava. And, I always used to wonder and also confront those people that I have my own identity. I'm Kumkum, and that's my name. But now I feel proud of being called Mrs. Srivastava. And it's all because of Vinay, And yesterday when I came here, I felt both emotional, because coming to the Department of Anthropology, it is also my home. I did my MPhil and PhD in anthropology, but people forget, because after Vinay Srivastav, I mean, there cannot be any other anthropologist in the family. So I have to remind people that, look, I'm also a historical anthropologist from the department. I did my work here for so many years. But again, as I had said, when people talk about him, I love it. And I want them to go on. And I know most of you might not understand much of Urdu, but Professor Srivastava was also a romantic by heart, as I was just saying, and he was a great poet also. He wrote many nazms and ghazals in Urdu. And I would just like to share the last one that he wrote. सितारों सामने आओ कि मेरी रात कटे, कोई फसाना सुनाओ कि मेरी रात कटे, धड़कते रहते हो शब गम दिल की तरह, ये राज क्या है बताओ कि मेरी रात कटे, हर एक सांस कयामत से कम नहीं मेरा, हर एक सांस कयामत से कम नहीं मेरा, अभी न छोड़ के जाओ कि मेरी रात कटे. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you for remembering him, and also thank you for this felicitation. Thank you very much for the. Thank you so much.
We really miss Professor Vinay Kumar Srivastava on this occasion where we are hosting an international conference. But ma'am, I assure that we would always remember Professor Srivastava in our hearts and in our work. And I was not wrong probably when I said we see reflections of Professor Vinay Kumar Srivastava in Professor R.P. Mitra. Thank you, ma'am, for being with us. I would now request Professor M.K. Singh to kindly felicitate Professor K.K. Basa as an eminent anthropologist in this country with the shawl. I would request Professor Sachdeva to kindly present a memento to Professor Basa. So, but purchasing through GEM is a very tedious task, sir. So we'll try to purchase. Now, I'm very much delighted to invite our honorable chief guest for the event, Professor Balram Pani, who's a man of principles and a very humble, pleasant personality. Professor Pani is the Dean of Colleges, University of Delhi, and he is the principal at Bhaskaracharya College of Applied Sciences. He has received his master's degree from Sambalpur University, Odisha, and his specialization is in environmental sciences. He's been engaged in many major projects, and he's been awarded as most promising innovation for the project title to explore the potential of biosimilars as cost-effective therapeutic products, sponsored by the U Innovation Project. Sir has always been very, very kind to all of us and to grace various occasions at Department of Anthropology. And it now feels that Sir has been a part of all the festivals that we celebrate in Department of Anthropology. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. I would request Sir to begin.
Good evening to you all. Namaskar. Professor P.C. Joshi ji, ex-vice chancellor of this university, and I have worked with him for a long time, and all the dignitaries on the dais, and the professors, participants, and my dear student friends. It is all about the valedictory, and in the valedictory means Professor Mitra has summarized means all the 3 days events in a better way, and all the speakers they had already spoken a lot, but I'll just say few words. Means that is, first of all, I appreciate the topic that is the rescripting of Anthropocene, that health and your happiness and hope. Health and happiness in science, you just see when there is the reversible system, then the system will exist and it will be for a longer time and it will give you the stability. And here happiness and the health, both are in the reversible system. Means if there is the health, if you are enjoying the good health, then definitely happy it is going to be enjoying the happiness. If you are happy, then definitely you will be enjoying the good health. So these are vice versa, means these are the reversible system. So that's why I mean it is the science. So this topic, whatever you have written, that is very good. And after that, hope. And you just see in the science, if it is the theoretical, means it is the conference. In other way, I can say it is also some hands-on training. Means at the end, means whatever the goodwill gesture shown by Professor Saraswati ji to her younger professors, Professor Manoj Singh and Professor Ma'am, means that is the work culture. Means that work culture will make you happy. Means it is the transformation of from the senior to junior. This is our culture. So if this type of a culture will exist, means that is the anthropology. It is not only restricted towards the tribal language and culture and habitats, all these things. Now it will be spread like anything. As Professor Vasa has said that this anthropogenic methodology, it is not the monopoly of anthropology. Means it has already been spread out into the other branches of the study. So therefore, means whenever you will feel happy, then definitely you will spread it like anything in your nearby societies so that you can give them happiness. And nowadays, many people are saying that a happiness index. And in the happiness index, somebody is saying that, okay, a particular country, it is at the top, and somebody it is saying that particular country, it is at the lowest. No, it is not like this. It is the perception. Means if I'm with the very small thing, I'm happy. You cannot say that if you will have certain things, then only I will become happy. No, it is not like this. Means even a small thing, I become very happy. And this is the work culture in our offices. And when Professor P.C. Joshi was the vice chancellor and I was there, means we are enjoying everything. Means we are living happily at that time. Means we are enjoying everything. Whatever we are doing, very happily. That makes us happy. Means, and that happiness cannot be indexed somewhere else. So that's why people can say that, okay, India is at the lowest or what the happiness index. So it is not like that. So that's why, means your conferences, means whatever the topics you have covered, means for the health, whatever the factors are responsible for your good health, all the factors you have already covered. Means for the climate, environment, and other health aspects, you have already covered. Means that is a good thing. Means how the environment is affecting all these things. And right now, what ethics is saying, means whenever your traditional knowledge, whatever the traditional knowledge you have, a particular country is having some traditional knowledge or the Indian knowledge system. If the traditional knowledge will be blended with your innovative idea, then you can explore like anything. Means you will enjoy that one and you will explore or you can invent some new thing. So that is the case. Means that you will have to remember your traditional knowledge and you, the young generations, you have the innovative ideas and just blend it and get it the new things and which you will give it to the society. And right now the happiness it is only, means happiness it is the good thing. It is the positive one. Whenever you will say that, okay, you are happy, means it is not a negative one. It is the positive sense. If you give the positiveness to the society, then everything will be positive. Then it will come the hope. If there is the positive, then hope, it is the better and towards the best. And so that's why, means your anthropology department, you are going towards the better and towards the best. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words of wisdom. And we definitely would be motivated to call you again and again to our department. Thank you so much, sir. A successful event is a result of untiring efforts of so many brains and hands, and it is ritualistic to acknowledge the efforts of all those who became a part of this event. Before we proceed to the vote of thanks, we would now like to go for our prize distribution. Winning an award is a special moment, keeps a scholar motivated in achieving academic excellence with passion, patience, and perseverance. To keep this motivation going among the scholars, we also had an award for the best poster presentation during this conference. A jury selected the best poster, and we also have two other prizes for it. I would now ask Ken Saraswati to kindly announce the names of the winners. Ma'am.
A very good evening to all of you. And before announcing the names, I have to say a few words. First of all, Professor Anand Singh. Sir, I just wanted to tell you that we were not planning to have this session valedictory online. But there was some demand from people. They wanted to hear you. So then we had to put online. So I just wanted you to know that so that you will feel happy about it. Okay. And second thing, sir, Vasa sir was talking, appreciating our title, health, happiness, and hope. That was agreed upon by everybody. We all were agreeing. And initially, as Suniti said, when we decided the topic for pre-Congress during COVID days, very depressing topic, existential vulnerabilities, problems, issues, something like that. After 1 year, when we just went back to it, we felt it is so depressing, we have to change it. Then again, myself, Sachdeva sir, and Mitra sir were sitting, and we were just discussing the exact title. The word Rescripting Anthropocene was proposed by Professor Mitra. So hands. Very beautiful title. And then for today, I think it's done. If anybody has to say anything, conference, and we can have just 5 minutes for that, brief comments or, feedback, so that we don't make any mistakes in our next conference. If you feel anything you want to say. Okay, thank you so much. So now coming to the prize distribution. We also should have done for, young scholars, teachers, we could have prizes, but we didn't have time. Only for posters we are announcing here. So for posters, the third prize goes to Archana Yadav. And I request today's chief guest, Balram Pani sir, please give her the certificate and the cash prize. We are giving 5,000 rupees. And sir, you should help us. Sir, you should help us clearing the bill, sir. Huh? Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And second prize goes to Barjis Altaf Shah. She's a MSc student. Oh my God. I request Basa sir to give away the prize. The amount is 3,000 rupees. Thank you, sir. The third prize, first prize. Huh? Vaidehi Goswami. I request Joshi sir, please give away the prize. The first prize is 5,000. Sorry, it is reverse actually. This is 5,000. Second prize is 3,000. And third prize is 2,000. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope this would keep our scholars motivated and achieve academic excellence further. Now we would move towards the end of the event and we move towards the end of the ceremony today, and it's time to acknowledge the efforts of all the people who were a part of this successful event. For that, I would request Professor Benrithing Murray to kindly deliver the vote of thanks. Sir is an anthropologist in Department of Anthropology, and he specializes in physical anthropology and working in the area of demography and human research. Sir, thank you.
Respected guest of honor, Professor K.K. Passa, Professor Anand Singh, Professor P.C. Joshi, Professor M.P. Sachdeva, Professor P.R. Montal, Professor Ken Saraswati, Professor Mitra, and very distinguished delegates, invited speakers, my esteemed colleagues, and dear friends. We had a very engaging conference, which is an international conference, and also the pre-congress of the UIAF, World Anthropology Congress. And this moment is an honor for me to offer the word of thanks on behalf of the Department of Anthropology. Firstly, I would like to thank our chief guest, though he has just left, Professor Paurambani, for gracing this occasion and for his kind words. He has always been with us. He is always for us, and we would like to thank him, though he has just left. Our guest of honor, Professor K.K. Passa, is one of the most illustrious anthropologists of our times, and despite his heavy engagements, he came for us, and we thank you and sharing with us your great experiences and words of wisdom. I would like to thank Professor Anand Singh for enriching us with a very, very insightful valedictory lecture, taking the gaze of South African anthropology. Thomas, I would like to thank Professor M.P. Sachdeva, head of department, for leading us from the front, right from the time of construction of this conference to this very moment. And it is his leadership that has taken us this far to make this conference very successful. Thank you so much, sir. And I thank the convener of this pre-congress, Professor P.R. Montal, for giving us this very elucidative convener's remark. And also I thank Professor R. Mitra, the third in and concise conference. I would like to sincerely thank all the invited speakers, the delegates, the paper presenters, and the poster presenters. And I hope we had a very, very fruitful academic discourse in this pre-congress. Our special thanks. Our special thanks goes to the sponsors of this program. The Department of Anthropology, University of Delhi would like to thank University of Delhi, Anthropological Survey of India, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, and Indian Council of Social Science Research for funding this conference. Especially, I would like to thank Professor P.C. Joshi for encouraging us in various ways, in very curious ways. And today he has taught us to work hard by bringing out a biographical account of Indian anthropologists to encourage us. Thank you so much, sir. Now, coming back to department, I would like to make one mention of one senior faculty, and you know whom. This is the organizing secretary of this pre-congress, Professor K. N. Saraswati. You know, she is the one who sets everything in motion and who makes everyone to work. He sets everyone in action also. And that's why we had this very successful conference. Thank you so much, ma'am. And when you came here to speak, I thought you were offering the vote of thanks. Okay. I truly regret my inability to thank each and everyone individually. But I just want to say that we have a very, very good and amazingly cooperative faculty in the department. And whenever we organize such a conference, every faculty member chip in and do their bit in whatever role is assigned to them. And this is what every faculty member did in this conference too. Thank you. Thank you so much, my esteemed faculty members. The technical and non-teaching staff of the department was actively involved in the logistics and other paperwork of this conference. And I'm very thankful to all the non-teaching and technical staff for your time and the effort you have given. Thank you so much. But this conference wouldn't have been a reality had there not been a large group of researchers, research scholars, working day and night for a long time now. And they took the role of the unsung heroes in making this pre-congress a reality. Thank you so much, research scholars, and hats off to you. We also want to thank the masters. We also want to thank the master students and the undergraduate students of this department for the wonderful display of culture extravagance. You know, we don't have any words. Dr. Mitra has done it so well in expressing it. As for me, I don't have any other words except to say, wow, that was wonderful. We would like to thank Mr. Nidin Malik, Registrar of Ambedkar University, who just came. Thank you so much for coming and gracing this occasion. Yeah. Lastly, but of course not the least, a big thank you to all the participants of this pre-congress for your kind participation. And despite the cold weather of Delhi, and also, though you must have missed some home delicacies, I hope that you have enjoyed your stay here. And we also hope that you will cherish the friendship that we have built through this conference. And for those of you who have come from different places and countries, we wish you a safe journey as you go back home. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for acknowledging one and all. India is a land of diversity, genetic diversity, cultural diversity, and linguistic diversity. But one thing that binds all of us is this great nation. So it's time for us to stand for our national anthem. I would request Sudeshna and her team to kindly come.
जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
In the words of Sir Henry James, there are few hours in life more agreeable than the hour dedicated to the ceremony known as evening tea. So here we conclude the pre-congress, and I request all the members present here to kindly join us for high tea. I would request all of you to kindly move to the department to join us for high tea.